So it's a Friday night in late June. You probably know most of the big stuff that happened today. The horrible situation with that building down in Miami, Kamala Harris's ridiculous visit to the border or non-visit. So we'll get to some of that stuff. But first, halfway into 2021, I thought we'd kind of reiterate a little bit of the principles and the things that we talk about on this show that very few others talk about. It gives you an idea where I'm coming from. I'm very upfront about my biases and where I am perhaps not terribly objective. And I think you should know that. Fair enough? I think so. All right, let's start. Number one, I support Donald Trump. I do. I like him on the substance. I like him on the policy. And I also like his style. I do, and I hope he comes back. Number two, something else that doesn't get discussed very often. I believe that police officers are not a threat to black men in America. The media, they have been terribly irresponsible in how they represent law enforcement. Also, this is something I learned from Barack Obama. There are too many absent black fathers. He talked about that. This is something that needs to be discussed widely, and I do believe some measures can be taken to improve this very unfortunate situation. Also, Ashley Babbitt was murdered. Very important story that no one talks about. We do, and we will. January 6th has been exploited by Democrats for political reasons. They are trying to basically make it almost illegal to talk about the other thing that I am very concerned about, the fairness of the November 3rd, 2020 elections. It's perfectly okay and legal to say you're concerned about the fairness of that election. Joe Biden is the president. I get that. Still, there are many unanswered questions about what happened in November. Speaking of Joe Biden, he's not up to the job. We're all seeing that. And I believe this year we started with President Trump. We will finish with somebody other than Joe Biden, most likely Kamala Harris, because if you've been watching Joe and up the stairs, down the stairs, losing his mind, his place in press conferences, this potentially won't end well for Joe Biden. We wish him the very best. I want him to be safe, but I don't think he's going to last 4 years. All right. Also, I'm a United States Marine. That makes me a bit different from most of the people you'll encounter in the media ecosystem. I spent 9 years on active duty. I lived all over the country, met people from all walks of life, and got to travel the world. I did not grow up in journalism, and it makes me a different type of media presence. I think you'll see that as this show unfolds. Also, I really like real people, regular people. If you really want to know what's happening in America, you got to talk to people who are not in office, who are not celebrities, just people all around us. It's one of the reasons Donald Trump did so well. I've seen him at parties, actually. He doesn't talk to the higher-ups, the beautiful people. You can always see him talking to the doorman, talking to the waiter, talking to the busboy. That's how he knew what was happening in this country, and that's why he was so successful when he ran for president. Also, I'm a Christian, and it informs in just about everything I do, hopefully. Come up short all the time, but I'm getting better, and I'm very grateful to God, and ask me about it sometime. I always like to talk about it. So that's a little bit about where I'm coming from as a host of this show. With that in mind, today you may have heard that Derek Chauvin, former officer in Minneapolis, sentenced to 22.5 years in prison for the murder of George Floyd. I really don't have anything else to say about that. Horrible situation. And I understand that an appeal is underway. Here's something that, while the whole country talked about that for most of the past year, very few are talking about Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt, 35 years old, shot and killed by a Capitol Hill police officer, we believe, on January 6th. What happened there? She was unarmed. No warning was issued. Some say on social media, well, she was trespassing in a government building. She deserved it. That's not the case. That's not how it works. There was no warning, none. She was unarmed. Why aren't there more questions being raised about this? Media could care less. Republicans, Democrats. This, by the way, in violation of the George Floyd criminal justice bill, which says you can only use deadly force when someone is about to die. And Ashley Babbitt was climbing through a window, it looks like. She did not pose a deadly threat to anyone at that moment. No police department in the world can say that was a justified use of deadly force. What else? We have this building situation in Florida. Terrible. They are still looking for survivors, but it got me thinking, this doesn't happen. It's not supposed to happen in America. Happens very rarely. I remember as a kid, I-95, a portion of that bridge just collapsing, disappearing. Anybody remember this? It happened in Connecticut. There was a bridge in Minnesota a few years back, and then there was a platform in Missouri that collapsed, but you have to, many years go by, nothing like this happens in America or should happen in America. It is rare. This happens in other countries all the time. Buildings come down, bridges come down. It's just, it's kind of a fact of life in the third world. Why did it happen here? We don't know yet. We're not going to know for a long time, but I do have a theory that everybody seems to be taking their eye off the ball, their eye off whatever their primary responsibility is. We're all addicted to our phones, and sometimes I wonder, everybody, from whether it's a taxi driver to a lawyer, everyone seems to be checked out and distracted. I will be curious to see if that could have played a role in what happened in Miami. You know who's distracted actually most of all? Congress. They're not really working for us, they're working for themselves. Ridiculous political stunts on the floor of the House of Representatives designed to generate media attention. But when it comes to the actual work of governance, of oversight, they don't seem to be particularly interested. Personal scandal, anything that can drive their fundraising numbers up. It's really, really sad. Also, this new woke wave is dangerous. This is an ad for the Central Intelligence Agency. Does this make you think about protecting our country or national security?
I'm a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I am tired of feeling like I'm supposed to apologize for the space I occupy rather than intoxicate people with my effort, my brilliance. I am proud of me. Full stop.
Full stop. It looks like she's running for assistant principal of some youth center or middle school, an analyst for the Central Intelligence Agency. Everything she just talked about has nothing to do with national security. Everybody just seems to want to star in some stupid video on Instagram. We're just losing sight of what we should be focused on. Hey, the infrastructure bill that was passed, finally, it's like paired of most of the ridiculous stuff. But the next version is going to have a lot of that ridiculous stuff in it. Infrastructure, we know what it is. Roads, bridges, buildings, not this stuff.
Childcare is infrastructure, period, full stop. We've got to make the investment.
What's with this period full stop thing, by the way? I don't like it. The infrastructure bill that was hammered out is being resisted by the squad and the far left. You know what their big grievance with this bill is? Take a look at this group of people. Yeah, that's Joe Biden standing in the driveway of the White House. You usually don't see the president there, but the big problem that AOC and her friends on the left have, they're all white people. It's true. AOC is furious that there wasn't enough inclusion here. This hysterical, ignorant woman is driving so much of our national agenda, our media agenda, and that is sad. Well, she doesn't have much influence here. I do find her amusing, though. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.